Hello everyone, we're live again. We've had a few technical difficulties, so I'm starting this broadcast again, and this is going to be recorded. So if you need to go, that is absolutely fine. You will be receiving a recording of this in your email. So let's hope, fingers crossed, this time that Mr. Google lets me stay online. Here we go. It appears to be all good. So welcome everyone. Again, welcome everyone. Merry Christmas, or if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you're having a wonderful holidays. I'm just going to jump out here of all my other browsers in hopes that that will give my internet a little bit more juice to get through and not kick me off of Google. So welcome everyone. My name is Victoria Cavallo, and welcome to today's webinar, how to set big, hairy, audacious goals and achieve them in 2015. So this webinar is for anyone who perhaps didn't achieve all of their goals this year. And as a result of that, some of you may be starting to question your goals, starting to wonder if your dreams are even possible for you because you haven't made any traction this year or in previous years, or perhaps you're even beginning to lose faith in the process of planning and goal setting. Or perhaps you're here because you have been achieving your goals and you want to continue to take your life to an even higher level in the next 12 months, and you understand the momentum that you need to do that. Well, if you can relate to any of these scenarios, then you're exactly where you need to be right now, because this webinar is for anyone who's ready to achieve extraordinary things in the year to come and beyond that. It's for anyone who's truly ready to step up and create an extraordinary life for themselves and their families. So, are you ready? Please do go and leave me messages in the chat box. Given my internet is playing up a little bit, I may not be able to get to those in the webinar, but I will certainly reply to all of them at the end. So before we begin, I just want to check in with you that you're in a comfy spot and that you're not going to be interrupted for the next hour. This webinar will run for an hour, so you may need a drink of water or a cup of tea. And you'll also need a pen and paper, because it's important when setting goals that you tap into your creative right brain and actually write these things down rather than typing them. It's far more powerful. And remember that you'll be receiving the recording of this webinar, so you don't need to write notes on what I'm saying. You'll only need to do the exercises as we go along. And because our time together is brief, you'll need to continue and complete these exercises in more detail tonight or tomorrow. And it's important that you do complete them before you see the year out, before you see in the new year, so that you have clearly set your intention for the year to come. Of course, if you're watching this webinar later on in the year, that's fine. You can do these exercises at any time in the year. But right now, with just 2 days before 2015, this is the perfect time, if you're watching live, to be setting your intention for the new year. And then you can go off and have a great time at your New Year's parties, and knowing that your year is already set. And in fact, you then don't have to go out and make any crazy New Year's resolutions, because you've already properly planned out your year. And if you see any friends doing that, feel free to send them a copy of this webinar as a New Year's gift, because we all know that those crazy New Year's resolutions, they just don't work. My why. So briefly, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Victoria Cavallo, and I live in Sydney, Australia with my husband Joe and my 2 little girls, Zara and Harper, who you can see here. We also have a little doggy called Chino, or Puggle. And my girls, my family is my why for doing all that I do. They're the reason that I set big, hairy, audacious goals, because I want to provide for them the best life possible. And it's more than that. I want to be the best person that I can be. I want to be a great role model. I want them to grow up knowing that they can create their own lives and that they have a responsibility to themselves to be the best that they can be. I want them to grow up knowing that their life experiences are not just because of the circumstances that they find themselves in, but they actually have the ability to create their own experiences of life. So why are goals so important? Why would you even bother? Why would you even bother spending this time here with me? Why would you even bother taking the time out to set goals and to make a plan of how to achieve them? Well, firstly, I do want to acknowledge you for being here. I want to acknowledge your commitment because, frankly, most of the population, they don't bother. You know, if you think about all the people that you know, maybe you've got a really wonderful circle of friends, but if you think about most of the people out there, most people do not have goals. They don't bother to take the time to really plan out their life. In fact, I've heard it said that, and I love this analogy, that people will spend more time planning a holiday than they will planning their lives. And isn't that just so true? So only about 5 to 10% of the population actually have written goals. 5 to 10%. So by being here today and committing to watch until the end and following the exercises to completion, you will then be literally in the top 5 to 10% of the population. So that is so cool. That's so awesome. It is a shame for the other 90% though, because without written goals and a plan to achieve them, really, people are just living day by day, hoping, wishing, and waiting for their dreams to come true. And when these dreams don't come true, and let's face it, let's be logical, without taking consistent action towards them, why on earth would they? Just sitting, hoping, wishing, waiting. When these dreams don't come true, people begin to conclude that they have no ability to achieve their dreams. They come to the conclusion that they have no ability to create their own experience of life, that life is just something that happens to them. And I find that such a shame because it's just not the case. Now, what's interesting is that there are some people out there who are actually adverse to setting goals. Just recently, I was at a party and I was chatting to a friend of a friend, and she was asking me about what I do. I was telling her a little bit about my work as a coach and how I help people. And I must have mentioned the word goals because it was interesting. She had quite an adverse, visible reaction to the words goal setting. And she said to me, oh, no, she practically recoiled. No, I don't do goals. I'm not the goal setting type. I like variety and freedom and fun, and goals are just too regimented and structured, and they don't work for me. I found this really interesting because in the same conversation, when we got a little deeper, she was telling me that she was feeling lost and without direction in her life. So, it's no coincidence that people without goals can suffer from being disconnected from their life, being disconnected from what's truly important to them, lacking direction, and then, of course, getting mediocre results across all areas of their life. They can start to experience procrastination, self-sabotage, overwhelm, and this then all starts to result in a lack of self-confidence. And this is because they're not the drivers of their own life. They're not in the driver's seat. They're a passenger. And the worst extreme outcome of this is that they actually stop believing that they ever could be in the driver's seat of their own life. So I wonder if any of this rings true to you, if you've ever experienced being in this mindset, or if you know anyone who's in this mindset. But the truth about goals, really, the truth about goal setting is that it's not what most people think it is. It isn't about scheduling every minute of your day with so much structure that there's no room for spontaneity or fun or adventure or surprise. True goal setting is about getting clarity on where you're heading and mapping out how you'll get there. It's the very definition of freedom because it allows you to create the life you want instead of having life just happen to you. To me, that is the definition of freedom. So if you are like my friend of a friend at the party and you don't love the words goal setting, perhaps it conjures up images of a boardroom and KPIs, or maybe all of your past goal setting faux pas come to mind when you use those words, when you hear those words. If that's you, then call it something else. Just call it something else entirely. Whatever floats your boat. Call it vision planning, call it your blueprint to success, your manifestation chart. You could call it your 2015 playbook. Whatever about it, call it that. So for me, big, hairy, audacious goals, I use that term because that gets me excited, because to me, that is a challenge. I know that I'm aiming for things that other people won't. And for me, that means that I'm in the driver's seat of my own life and I am creating extraordinary experiences. And it also means to me that I'm aiming big. And when you aim big, any shortfall is still pretty awesome. You know, having small, safe goals to me equals mediocre results. Big, hairy, audacious goals is going to result in something worth being excited about. So what is a big, hairy, audacious goal? No, Danny, if you're listening, it's not about growing more hair. So big, hairy, audacious goals. Well, you know, first of all, the definition of a goal is a dream. I love this definition by Napoleon Hill. He's the author of Think and Grow Rich. A goal is a dream with a deadline. That's all it is. It's just a dream with a deadline. And I'd like to add into that it's a dream with a plan and a deadline. Now, a big, hairy, audacious goal, to me, is a goal so big that it scares you. And it can only be achieved by getting right out of your comfort zone. I think people often don't get excited about goals because they set small goals. And to me, really small goals are kind of almost like just having a little to-do list. You know, when you tick everything off that list, yeah, you've ticked everything off the list, but they were all small things. So the results are just going to be more of the same of what you've already got. A great mentor of mine once said that if you're achieving all your goals aren't big enough. If you're achieving all your goals, you need to go and set bigger goals. So for me, I like to shoot for the stars, and then you may just land on the moon. Okay. So now we understand why having clear goals and a plan of how to achieve them is the key to creating a life on purpose. Before we get into our goal setting and planning for the next 12 months, I'd like you to first take a moment to reflect on the year that was. To get clarity on where we're heading and what we want to create in our future reality, we need to be able to appreciate and acknowledge where we are now. What experiences have we created for ourselves already? So get your pen and paper. And to do this, we're first going to get ourselves into a space of gratitude. It's really important to be in a heart space while you do this, a heart space for yourself, a place of compassion and gratitude for yourself. This is all about setting goals for you, not for others. We can only set goals for ourselves. So first, acknowledge yourself for what you've already achieved and created. So get out your pen and paper and take a moment now to start writing down all of the highlights from the past 12 months. What holidays did you take? What special occasions did you celebrate? Who did you spend your time with? What did you commiserate? Be grateful for it all. What new people did you meet? Acknowledge all of the life experiences you created in the past 12 months, even the not so desirable. What did you learn from those not so desirable experiences? What did you not do in the past year? How's your health? Did you start anything new? Did you see anything to completion? How was your health? Did you contribute in any way? So you now have a clear picture, and you want to do a bit of work around this evening. Add some more layers in. You now have a clear picture in a space of gratitude for the experiences, the achievements, the stretches, and the learnings of the past year. And this exercise is really important because it doesn't only give gratitude and acknowledge what we've achieved already, which is important because life gets busy and sometimes we don't notice what we have actually already achieved in our life. But it shows us where our values lie. It shows us where we spend our time, and it shows us what moments of joy we had, and they're the moments that we're going to want to create more of. So next we're going to really acknowledge where we are now. This chart, some of you may have seen something similar to this before. This chart is called the Wheel of Life. So here we measure where you are. You can measure where you are right now. You can mark on this chart where you see yourself for each segment by making a mark across the segment. So on your piece of paper, draw a circle and split it up into segments. I have 7 here. You may choose to do a few more than that. And you can see that I've named them here: intimate partner, adventure, hobbies, business, career, finance, wealth, friends, family, contribution, and health, fitness. You may want to add spirituality in there, possibly learning. These segments are the segments of your life that are important to you to have balance. Now, the middle of the circle, the center of the circle is 0%. So if you were to put a mark in, say, intimate partner, right down low, you would be saying that you see yourself as being down at 0%, having no signs of improvement right now. And if you were to put a line across the top of that segment, you'd be saying that you're at 100%, and 100% is, 100%, as good as it gets, as good as it gets. So draw your circle. And write in your segments. And just measure where you see yourself right now. The end of 2014, or whenever it is that you're watching this video. Fantastic. So now you have a really clear understanding and a visual representation of where you are currently in your life across at least 7 different areas, possibly more if you choose to add in more there. So now I'd like you to put down your pen, sit up straight, shoulders back, take a deep breath and let it out. And I'd like you to join me on a journey. A journey into our dream space. Now, in this dream space, there is an infinite number of possibilities, and anything is possible for you. There is no right or wrong here. There is just pure possibility. I want you to imagine now that on the desk in front of you is a pair of Mickey Mouse ears. Reach down and take those ears and place them on top of your head. You and I are here now in the Walt Disney Dream Room. So welcome. Some of you may already know a bit about Walt Disney. I'm sure a few of you have heard of him. Walt Disney was, of course, the founder of Disney Studios, and he was an astonishing visionary. To create his movies, he had his team of writers use 4 separate rooms to bring his fantasies to life. The first room was the dream room. His team would first meet in this room where they could only dream and use their imagination. All things and ideas were possible, and no negative or limiting language could be used. So we're in the dream room now, and I want you to teleport yourself forward to a time that hasn't happened yet. It's 100 years from now. 100 years. You've physically left the planet. You've left this earth. And you're looking down. You're looking down on your life. You're looking down and back at your life, at the people that you left behind, at the life that you left behind, the life that you created. I want you to notice what you created. Start to write now. Start to write these things down. Notice the people who were in your life. Were you married? Do you have an intimate partner? Were there children? Who are your friends? What things did you talk about? Where did you live? What did you do for fun? What toys did you have? And think about what it was that you got from the things that you had. We like to have nice things, and it can be easy to make a note of the things that we had. But think about what it was that those things gave you. Because it's not really things that we love, it's what they give us. It's what experiences we have in life that are important to us. So what experience did having those things give you? Where did you work? Did you work? Who did you work with? How often? What are you remembered for? Remember, there's no right or wrong in the dream room. Only possibilities and pure imagination. I love this quote. In the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take, relationships we were afraid to have, and the decisions we waited too long to make. So I wonder, here in the dream room, looking back on your life, do you look back filled with regret for all those things that you tried and they didn't go perfectly? All those moments that you may have felt like you looked a little bit silly? Or do you regret those things that you didn't do, that you thought about but decided to play it safe just in case they didn't work out perfectly? Or those things that you're putting off until all the ducks lined up in a row, and those ducks never did line up? Which do you think you'll regret? Looking back on your life 100 years from now, notice the things that you didn't do. Notice all of it. What mistakes did you make? What chances did you take? What made you smile and what made you proud? So spend some time this evening or tomorrow. Go back, put your Mickey Mouse ears back on, go back into the dream room. And you can enter this dream room whenever you like in the future. If you're feeling a loss of clarity or lack of direction, you can go back to this webinar. You can go back into the dream room and you can do this. Take these steps at any time. But this evening, you're going to add more layers. Peel off more layers of the onion. You're going to add more detail, make it more vivid in your dream room. So now we're going to take off our mouse ears. And I wonder what you noticed from being in the dream room. What did you learn from that experience? Pop me a message in the chat box. I'd love to see and hear about what you experienced in the dream room. So next, Walt Disney's team enter the reality room. A very basic room with lots of storyboards and notes attached to the walls. Here they put together the details and the structure of the story. So we are entering the reality room now. And I want you to imagine it's 5 years from now. What will you need to achieve? Where will you be? Who will you be in 5 years from now? That will mean that you are on the path to fulfilling that end of year life vision and making that dream, that life experience, a reality. Here is where we connect the dots backwards from the end of our days to 20, 10, 5 years from now, depending on your age, of course. This is where you connect the dots. Now, some focus on 5 years from now. Others who would like more detail may like to do 20 years, 10 years, and 5 years, always working backwards. I suggest that you write down your 5-year plan. And you can do a little bit now and do the rest of that this evening. I love this quote from Steve Jobs. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. It has made all the difference in my life. Steve Jobs is another wonderful visionary of our time. So imagine in 5 years from now, you're already well on your way to achieving your dream, living a life of your own creation. What will you have achieved in 5 years that will have established a firm trajectory for your lifetime vision? Think about that for a moment and write it down. Fantastic. So now we're heading on into the Merlin room. This is the next room that Walt Disney's team entered, the Merlin room. In this room, the team worked backwards, starting with the ending first and adding the reality to it. Now, this is really interesting because for those of you who know what NLP is, neuro-linguistics programming, the first success principle of NLP is to know your outcome. You must know exactly what you want to be able to know that you've achieved it. So we're heading into the Merlin room now. And it's the end of 2015, 12 months from now. Let me tell you, it has been the best year yet. I want to tell you all about it. So I'd like you to go forward now, 1 year from today, and write down, as if you have already achieved it, all the things that you have done, become, and experienced in 2015. So it is important that you write this in the present tense, as if today is the 29th of December 2015, and this is what you have already done, what you've already experienced. Write about your relationships, your connections, your contributions, your health, your family. Where did you go? Who did you work with? What did you work on? What did you learn? Tap into all of those segments of the pie chart. I've got the 7 here on the slide. You may have added some more. And state it in the positive as if you already have it. You are it. What are you seeing that is evidence that you have already achieved this? What can you feel? What can you hear? What are people saying to you? What can you touch? Write this in as vivid detail as you possibly can. And remember to include all of those areas in your wheel of life. We're working backwards here. We're starting with the end in mind. So notice the evidence around you. What are people saying to you that tells you that you have already achieved your outcomes? So here you want to be writing down lots of I ams and I haves. So for example, it's 29th of December 2015 and I'm packing my suitcase for Europe. I tick off my list as I pack my passport and my ticket for 4 weeks in Tuscany. I can't wait to celebrate with my family the year's successes, and I know my team of 5 staff will take great care of my business while I'm away from our city office. Visualize as if you're already there. Still in the Merlin room now, and we're still planning with the end in mind. We're going to map out your outcomes for each quarter. So this needs to be written down again in the present tense so that if anyone was to read this, they would know that you had the outcomes. So for example, if you were setting your 90-day goals for January to March, you would be writing it as if you'd already achieved that outcome. So I have earned XYZ in my business for 2 consecutive months. I am running 30 minutes a day. I'm feeling healthy and vital. I have finished my studies and received XYZ qualification. Write it as if you already have it. So this is where you get to map out the smaller pieces of that year. And all these pieces of the pie are going to slot together to create your 1-year plan. Remember, it's important that you set up your whole year in advance so you can have a holistic view, and you're going to write out your 90-day goals and put them on your wall where you can see them. So you want to map out your whole year into quarters. And if you're a big picture person like myself, then you may find it easier to work backwards. So you do quarter 4, then quarter 3, then quarter 2, then quarter 1. If you're a detailed person, then you may want to work forwards. So start with quarter 1 and work your way forwards to the end of the year. But it is important that you do all 4 quarters. And remember, you're setting your outcomes for the 90 days. What outcome will you have achieved? What outcomes will you have achieved? And what is the evidence of that at the end of quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4? Finally, in a grey dower room, Walt Disney's team would meet to discuss problems and issues with the story before moving to completion. All obstacles would be overcome in the sweat room. So here in the sweat room is where you will plan your weekly tasks. So this is essentially your to-do list, your to-do list of tasks that will move you to your quarterly outcomes. So using a task list like this, you break your task list into your 7 chunks of life, or into however many chunks that you've set up for your wheel of life. These are your actual tasks. What is the task? What is the action? And of course, always have the outcome in mind. And that outcome, the outcome is what you've taken across from your 90-day goals. That is your outcome. So you'll have 52 of these. And then finally, you'll have your ideal day. So your ideal day is a day that could sustain you going forward. It's not a holiday or a weekend lying on the beach. This is your ideal average day. So here is where we actually allocate the times that we'll be doing these tasks, and we plan out our individual days. Now, it's important before doing this that you do stop and have a think about what is your ideal average day. What time will you exercise? What time will you spend with your kids? What time will you work? And when will you take time to learn and grow? Have space in your ideal day for all of these things. So it's here in your ideal day schedule, and also in your weekly tasks, that you're going to need to apply your sensory acuity and behavioral flexibility to overcome obstacles and stay on track. You've done the planning, here is the implementation. So have the sensory acuity to notice what's not working or what is, and have the behavioral flexibility to make the changes needed to keep moving towards your quarterly outcomes. And reward yourself. I would suggest that in your weekly task, you put in a time to reward yourself every week, to give yourself acknowledgement along the way, whether that be whatever it is that floats your boat, whether that be a walk along the beach, or date night with your partner, or whether it be a massage, or just time for yourself to go and take a bubble bath, something like that. Just time, something that is of meaning to you, that is going to reward you for completing those tasks. And do that every week. Be kind to yourself. Reward yourself every week. Walt Disney passed away in 1966, and at the opening of Disney World in 1971, his wife Lillian said that although he wasn't there, he had already seen it. Such was his foresight. He was a great visionary. So now you have the gift of clarity and foresight. I suggest that you take some time out now to complete these exercises, to go through them and add more layers, taking all the time you need, and then putting your 90-day goals on your wall. Print out your weekly task sheets and print out 7 daily schedules. And you have your daily schedule with you always. So imagine now it's 29th of December 2015, and you're writing your goals for 2016. And you look back at the year that was with gratitude. You notice how much you've experienced, how much you've achieved, and how much bigger your vision has expanded. You notice that goal setting, something that wasn't once very exciting to you, has now become effortlessly part of your life. And you notice how it has allowed you to create so much more than previous years. Sure, there have been challenges, and you've had to change some plans along the way, and there have been times that you've been thrown off course. But you notice how you've always been able to come back to your goals, reconnect with your dream room, and map out the steps again, and how this has always led you forward. Well done, everyone. So I trust that you have gained value from this webinar, and I trust that you'll now go and take the time to plot out the rest of your goals, and then go off and have a fantastic New Year's Eve. Or if you're watching this later on in the year, go out and reward yourself, knowing that you have set the intention for the rest of your year. So just before we go, I'd like to offer those of you who are listening to this live, if you're listening to the recording, there may be a few left, so do go and click the button, but they may be gone. Limitless You is giving away only 6 people a 1-hour breakthrough to success session. Now this is held over the phone or Skype. So this is a special bonus offer for watching this webinar. So go and click the bonus offer button below and pop in your details to apply to be one of these 6 people. This session is valued at $106. So go in and enter your details for that. 6 lucky people will get that complimentary 1-hour breakthrough to success session and really conspire with Limitless You to start creating the results that you want for the following year, and really start to live and create an extraordinary life for yourself and your family. So thank you, everyone, and please do leave a message in the message box below and let me know your experience of this webinar, what you learned from it, what your biggest takeaway was. And I wish you all a fantastic, healthy, and prosperous 2015.